Now, due to cramming, the AFL Round 9 has come quickly since Round 8. It's almost like you have 1 second to breathe and then the next round kicks off, and it's going to feel like this for a very long time. We've got a bunch of games to talk about in this episode. Only one day since Round 8 has ended and the beginning of a new round has come, and it's going to get even tougher to make videos like this throughout the entire week, focusing on this round and then the next round and then the round after that in very short consecutive times. But enough about the problems that is going to occur. Let's focus on the round 9 of the AFL. Let's focus about my match predictions and let me know what you guys think as well. Let's do it. What's up, everybody? It's the Aidan Sports Show. Welcome back to another video. This is going to be an AFL Round 9 predictions video where we go through every single team that is playing in the Round 9 of the AFL and give my honest match predictions from start to finish. There might be a few surprises in here, but most of it is relatively straightforward, I believe, as well for this round. So before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Aidan Sports Show YouTube channel. Turn notifications on. Only 3 subscribers away from the 75 subscriber mark. Now, there is a bit of an issue with the subscribers going on as of late, from what I'm aware of, that they're trying to fix out. So it might not necessarily show if you guys have subscribed, but it will give me notified, but the number just won't change. So hopefully YouTube sorts that out over time. But nevertheless, guys, let's get into this, and it's going to be a very good round of football, I believe. We can start with the first game that's very interesting in my opinion, because this could definitely be an upset victory. So the Western Bulldogs versus the Richmond Tigers. This game, these two teams are very inconsistent. I feel like Bulldogs one day could get absolutely flogged, then the next day they'll go and flog someone else, you know? It's just one of those things. But Richmond have been consistently poor in the forward line, and everywhere else they have been decent. So this is one of those things where can they take advantage of Bulldogs' weaker defense? I think the Bulldogs' defense is not good at all. I think that's their weakest part of the pitch. The weakest part of their game is their defense. But if Richmond can go on and hopefully have a decent game in the forward line, I think they can win this comfortably. But I just don't see that happening. I don't know how Richmond can prove to me that they can score goals left, right and center against teams. I don't think they ever score that many goals. Like, I feel like every single game I watch, when I see them, they don't score goals. It's mainly just missed marks, missed opportunities, a couple of behinds, easy shots going through for behinds. And that's been the story of Richmond's season so far, and that's the reason they're out of the 8. So in my eyes, despite Bulldogs not being the favourites to win this game, I'm going to pick the Western Bulldogs because I believe they will have a much better offensive presence than what Richmond will have, and I think that's what it's going to go down to. I think both midfields are fantastic, both Richmond and Western Bulldogs. I think Richmond have a great defense, but they don't have a great offense. And I think it's vice versa for Western Bulldogs. Western Bulldogs have a great offense, not a great defense. So it's just going to be, it's a mismatch for both teams, really. Like, they have each other's weaknesses in their hands. It's just who's going to exploit the weaknesses first. And I think Bulldogs will do it because in the end, offense is better than defense. And if you have a better offense, you're most likely going to win the game. But if Richmond can just put that pressure on, I don't see a way Bulldogs can get through, but I just don't know what to expect, and I'm going to pick the Western Bulldogs just because I feel like they have a slight advantage in this game. Going into another game that's very interesting, and in my opinion, is one of those games you really need to look out for. The Port Adelaide Power versus the Melbourne Demons. Both teams have played tremendously well over the past few weeks. Both teams lost last week. Port Adelaide lost to a very good St Kilda team that had one of the best AFL performances we've seen with 12 goals or 1 behind. Melbourne, however, lose to Brisbane on a game they probably should have won. So it all comes down to the fact which team is in better form. Now, I'm going to pick Port Adelaide to win this game. Don't get me wrong. I'm picking Port Adelaide, but I think this game could be very, very simple for Melbourne. And the reason why is we've shown that we can go and bring a good team to their knees. Brisbane looked absolutely terrified in that fourth quarter of what we can bring. And in the third quarter and the first quarter, we matched up to them. We only had one bad quarter, the Melbourne Demons. And in the end, that's what cost us the game. We can go and attack Port Adelaide. And I think Port Adelaide will be scared of what we bring in the midfield and maybe in the forward line as well if we could just take our chances. Now, if you think about it, Wiedemann missed 3 goals opportunities, but all of them went for a behind. We had 7 behinds and 7 goals to compare to Brisbane's 7 goals and 11 behinds. So we could have won this game. We could have won that game against Brisbane, and hopefully the game against Port Adelaide will be a little bit more simpler for us. But again, the same situation occurs when I picked Brisbane to when I picked Port Adelaide. How can I go against first on the ladder? How can I go against Port Adelaide at the moment? And the real answer is I just don't think... if I'm thinking with my brain, I don't think I can go against Port Adelaide. When I'm thinking with my heart, I truly believe Melbourne can 100% win this game. And I'm honestly going into this game very confident that we can beat Port Adelaide. But my brain is telling me that Port Adelaide are the clear side that will most likely get the win. So I have to pick with what my brain is telling me and not my heart. Otherwise, I'll be biased for everything that I say. But trust me when I say this, if any Melbourne supporters or Melbourne fans, Melbourne players even, are watching this, I'm very confident in our ability to go and beat Port Adelaide. But just judging on what's been happening this season, I can't go against Port Adelaide. Going into the next game, and this one, in my opinion, is probably one of the easiest ones to pick. Carlton versus Hawthorn. Now, how times have changed. I could have sworn when the season first started, Hawthorn were predicted to get into the top 4. Hawthorn were predicted to be that team that people were going to be the underdogs. That people would claim that they would be the underdogs. They're not the greatest team. They're not the best team with quality. But they are a team that will fight and will win games based on their fight alone. That has not been the case. They've lost to very easy sides, and they've lost to Sydney last week. It's a Sydney side that in many people's eyes are not a good football team, and probably the second, if not the third worst AFL team this season. I mean, judging by the ladder, they're pretty low down. They're not the worst, but they're pretty low down there. So, in my opinion doesn't say much, but I have to go with Carlton this game. I don't see how anybody goes against Carlton this game. A very good win last week against North Melbourne. Granted, North Melbourne are not a good side, and they're one of the lower teams as well. I think Carlton could have easily ran away with that game, and I feel like the same thing could happen against Hawthorn, where it's going to be close, but Carlton could have easily run away with it. That's the way that I see this going. The betting odds are definitely in Carlton's favour as well. In my opinion, one of the easier decisions to make, and down the line, I hope to be proven correct on the Friday night. The Friday night games, man, it's one of the best times to watch the AFL. It's going to be a good one in my opinion, and I think Carlton will run away with it. Going with the next game, the Essendon Bombers versus Brisbane Lions. This one is going to be relatively straightforward as well. I think Brisbane will clearly run away with this game. I think Brisbane will probably have a much better performance than last week. I think last week Brisbane were good, but they weren't the Brisbane that we all know and love. I think their style of football is fantastic. I love the way Brisbane play, and it's so frustrating to verse them, man. I don't think I've ever been so angry at a football game in my life than when I versed Brisbane. But with Essendon, I think after last week's performance, it doesn't give me great confidence to go and verse second on the ladder and win. So I think that one's fairly straightforward as well to pick Brisbane. Again, we're starting to see the quality teams versus the teams that are not quite there yet. And this is a prime example of Essendon not being quite there, but they are very, very good standings on the ladder. But Brisbane, it looks like they're there, and they're actually very comfortably going to stay there. So let's see where this goes. I'm actually very interested in this game, and I do see there could be a potential upset. I don't think Essendon's a terrible side at all, but I think Brisbane are just a very consistently good side, and I think that's going to take the cake. Next game, the battle of the last on the ladders, North Melbourne versus the Adelaide Crows. Now, is this the time I'm going to pick Adelaide out of every single game? I think maybe except for round 1, I might have picked Adelaide in round 1. But besides that, am I going to pick Adelaide in this round? And the answer is No, I'm not picking Adelaide in this round, and I don't think it's very fair for anybody to pick Adelaide because they just haven't won a game. But where is their win going to come from? And that is the question. North Melbourne is probably the easiest side they have left to face. They've versed Sydney, they've versed Fremantle, they've versed teams that are not quite there and that are rebuilding, similar to their position, and they've lost to them all. In my opinion, if the win doesn't come against North Melbourne, then I extremely find a very tough time to find the win for them this season. And that's going to be very interesting to see if they will get a win. Are we going to have a season where Adelaide are winless? And I don't see that happening. I do see them winning a game, and this could be the game, but I am picking North Melbourne because I believe North Melbourne need to retaliate from a very tough loss to Carlton, in which they were close, but they probably didn't deserve to be as close as they were. This is the time to go and retaliate and get a very comfortable victory and bring the momentum back on their side. Because in the end, no one expects North Melbourne to be a good team. No one expects North Melbourne to be a team that will get anywhere this season, but you expect them to fight and you expect them to beat Adelaide. You expect them to beat teams where, yeah, the quality might not be there, but if you're looking for a fight, if you're looking for a hard-working team, North Melbourne should be that team. At least that's the way that I see it. But most of the time, they prove me wrong every time I say it, so I just don't know where to go from here. But I think it's pretty straightforward to pick North Melbourne. Not really a big deal there. Next game, St Kilda versus the Sydney Swans. Sydney Swans had a great victory last week, but I don't see anybody picking the Sydney Swans in this game. I'm going for the Saints after a tremendous Port Adelaide victory when they scored 12 goals and 1 behind. One of the best performances St Kilda's ever done. I find it extremely tough to go against them. Against any team at the moment after beating Port Adelaide, but especially against a team like Sydney. I think this should be basic professional performance where they go and just beat the team that they're supposed to beat. I'm not expecting a thrashing by any stretch of the means, but I am expecting a very comfortable St Kilda victory. Very straightforward there. I don't think I need to go too far into that one. I feel like that's a pretty fair analysis in my opinion. Just a professional performance. Next up, West Coast versus Geelong. Now, I think both of these teams are in fantastic form, and I know that people are going to say that West Coast are going to win, and I'm picking West Coast to win by far, but this is going to be a very close game in my opinion. I don't think this is a write-off because Geelong has been in fantastic form. I know Collingwood is a great team that got dismantled, got destroyed, got put into pieces against West Coast, but I don't see West Coast having that type of performance 2 games in a row. But not only that, I think Geelong are going to give them more of a fight. I think Geelong are a much threatening team at the moment. So they've already beat one team in Perth. Why not try and go for both? Very unlikely they're going to beat West Coast, but they definitely have the chance. And in my opinion, West Coast will probably take it home. Decent margin, I would say. Close margin. I don't see a thumping. I don't see a 111-45 performance here. No chance in my opinion. But only time will tell. Maybe West Coast have turned a leaf beyond anybody's expectations, and they might just prove that they're the best team in the AFL. Who knows, man? Only time's going to tell. We don't have much time left, but the time that we do have, it's good to see. Next up, and this game, the battle of the 2 up-and-coming teams, the 2 of the newest teams to appear in the AFL. Suns versus Giants. Now, these 2 teams have fantastic young players that have been driving them into success. Gold Coast, however, have had a bad stretch of form where they've lost consecutive games. They did beat Sydney within the losses to last week and to Melbourne, so they're kind of in a rough stretch. They nearly beat Western Bulldogs. I'm going to pick the Giants. I think the Giants are fairly simple here. It's at Metricon Stadium. Yeah, there's no real reasoning behind me picking Giants. I just think they're a better team. And I think down the line, the Giants are probably going to have to step things up a bit, and I think they will do so very, very comfortably. And who knows, man? Who knows? Gold Coast can win this game. I'm going to watch this game because, again, it gives me a chance to get to know some of the young players that they have. Again, I'm not an AFL expert over here. I don't know a lot of teams by their players' names. I don't know a lot of players in the AFL, if you think about it, compared to how many there are in there. But whatever the case may be, I think the Giants have a better team, and the way that they play is really good. Gold Coast also have a great style of play, but I just don't think their players are as good as the Giants, at least not yet. I think down the line there could potentially be a question asked there, but just not at the moment. Last but not least, and this will be a relatively short video, Collingwood versus Fremantle. Very, very straightforward, this one. I have to pick the Magpies. Look, anybody that picks Fremantle has a death wish, to be honest, because after last week's performance, or yesterday's performance, basically, you think of Fremantle only having 6 shots on goal against a team like Geelong. Collingwood, arguably a better team, maybe not at this point, but they're definitely in a similar quality range. How could you go against Collingwood? How could you go? Fremantle was so bad last week. It's going to take a miracle, in my opinion, for them to beat Collingwood. But miracles do happen in the AFL. Every team could beat a team. It's so far unpredictable. It's beyond belief sometimes. Some teams beating teams you don't expect, and maybe the last beats first. Who knows? Either way, those are the predictions that I've picked for this AFL Round 9 predictions. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new to the Aidan Sports Show YouTube channel. Turn notifications on. Let me know in the comments below if I predicted your team to win. Also, if you have any other suggestions, maybe if you have your own reasoning behind the team winning, and maybe you don't agree with what I say, feel free to let me know in the comments below. It's all about trying to help educate each other. I would have much to learn about the AFL, I'm not going to lie. Watching Melbourne since 2006, pretty much, onwards, I've only watched Melbourne. This is probably the first time I've gone beyond the realms of Melbourne and going to look at other teams, look at how other teams play, other teams' players, who I would want at Melbourne and stuff like that. This is a brand new thing for me, and I'm not perfect at it. Yes, according to my record of how many I've gotten right, I seem to be pretty good, but I'm no expert, and I'm by no means a professional AFL knowledge analysis. I'm trying to get better, just like a lot of people are in this world, and that's all I can ask for, is some for constructive criticism, some maybe knowledge that I might not be aware of. Anyway, have a wonderful and safe day. I will see you guys probably next week if you're looking for an AFL video. Both of them should probably be on the same day, just like this one. Take care.